architecture entity is an institutional member of ICOMOS India. It was constituted in the year 1976 and is affiliated to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow, being one of the oldest and revered architectural institutions in the country. ICOAP has many illustrious alumni creating names and winning globally for their work. We are about 1,800 strong and growing alumni network. We really feel happy to organize the ICOMOS India Scientific Symposium 2021. We are honored to have our Vice Chancellor, Subini Bansal, join us for the inaugural session. It is indeed our pleasure to welcome you at the symposium, sir. I would like to request Suparna Sehgal, please, present a bouquet as a token of respect. Professor Bansal has a wide and dynamic experience. Professor Bansal has a wide and dynamic experience in academic and administration front. Before his current chair, he has served as Pro Vice Chancellor Executive and Dean UC Studies and Entrepreneurship Executive. He is also a member of several institutional bodies, including the Indian Society for Technical Education and the Computer Society of India. He is also a member of editorial board of several reputed journals. He has been invited He has been working as invited member of several academic and research committees. And we are sure to see executive achieving great heights under your leadership. So, thank you for being here, for honoring us with your presence. I would like to again welcome on and it is indeed pleasure that you all have come allowed us to be here in person. I would like to request Dr. Subrahit Banerjee to present a bouquet to Dr. Naveen Biplani. Dr. Rima, who is the Vice President ICOMOS India, is available online, so we welcome. Then I would like to request Dr. Ritu Gulati to please present a bouquet to Dr. Shalini Das Gupta, Secretary ICOMOS India, is present here. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presence. Then I request Professor Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar to please felicitate Ms. Priyanka Singh, Treasurer ICOMOS India. Thank you, ma'am. The North Zone representative is Smita Datta Makhija. She is not here with us in person. She is joining us online. We welcome her virtually. Then the South Zone representative, Professor Surya Narayan Murthy, SV Gullapalli, is here. I request Professor Pareen Banu to please felicitate Dr. Surya Narayan. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here. I would like to now call Professor Girish Pandey, sir, to please felicitate Mr. Nishant Upadhyay, the Central Zone representative. And we are really happy to organize the event at our zone. Thank you. Thank you for all your efforts in taking this event forward. And today we are here. Thank you. And Poonam Tambadia, the West Zone representative, is joining us virtually. So we welcome her virtually from here. Please, thank you for joining us. And then East Zone representative, I would like to call Professor Gaurav Singh to please felicitate Dr. Ananya Bhattacharya. She is East Zone representative, ICOMOS India. Thank you for being here on our invitation. Thank you. I would like to call Professor Ravakulsis to please felicitate Dr. Shankar Krishna Das. He is Northeast Zone representative. Thank you for the thank you all of you for being here in person. This is indeed great experience for all of us, and we are doing this event online and as well as in person in a hybrid mode. So this is also a new experience for us. We hope that it goes well with all your support and cooperation. Thank you for being here. We also welcome all the deans and head of the institutions who are present here. Thank you for joining us, sir, DP sir, and all other deans. Thank you, ma'am. For the inaugural session, I would like to now request Nishant Upadhyay, Central Zone representative, to please take over the mic and continue with the proceedings. Thank you, Nishant, please.
Good morning, everyone. I, Nishant Upadhyay, as the coordinator of the Scientific Symposium 2021, probably closer, would like to welcome Professor Kansal, Vice Chancellor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, AKTU, Professor Vanna Sehgal, Dean and Principal, FOAP, AKTU, Professor Singh, who's with us here, and Executive Committee members of ECOMOS India, faculty members of FOAP AKTU, respected keynote speakers, session chairs, rapporteurs, presenters, and all the participants of the symposium. It is my honor to be here to be welcoming all of you, physically and virtually online. So to start, just to put together that how the symposium came into being. It started last year in August when I had the honor of taking the chair for Central Zone Representative, ECOMOS India, and we had a meeting in the Central Zone to discuss what exactly is our focal point and areas. So post that discussion, it was very clear for all of us. Post that discussion, it was very clear to all of us that we are actually have a very clear focus that cultural landscapes in this part of the of India, which is Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, is very, very significant for us to be able to discuss, have a discourse over it, and to be able to know how we can manage and conserve these. When we talk about cultural landscapes, we are talking about a lot of aspects, not only historic urban landscapes like Lucknow in the city we are in, but we are also talking about a lot of sacred landscapes, for example, Ayodhya, Brajbhumi, Ujjain, and we are also talking about agricultural landscapes, for example, Gorakhpur for that matter, or the whole Tarai area, and the riverscapes, the Holy Ganga, and so on. So there are several aspects of cultural landscapes which gave us opportunity to be able to discuss them as planners, geographers, architects, anthropologists, social scientists, etc. So as soon as the theme of our discussion and symposium was decided among us, last year in April, Professor Sehgal kindly agreed to host the symposium. And we were all set to do it already in May when we had second wave of COVID. That's why we postponed it to this date. And then started a lot of work. We started calling for abstracts on the same subject under 6 sub-themes, which bifurcated the subject into 6 sub-themes. And we had a huge response of 158 abstracts. Now, to be very honest, our scientific committee was rather small and we were not really prepared for that number. The scientific committee pulled on, and then they really were kind enough to be able to review all the abstracts very patiently. We had a double-blind peer review of the abstract. We came down to finally 57 from 157, and 33 abstracts we invited as case studies. Now, why did we do that? Because a lot of abstracts which came in had huge knowledge as practitioners. So not only as academicians we wanted to appreciate them, but also as the professionals working on field, we wanted to inculcate this idea of cultural landscape management and conservation. After that, we had finally last week presentation of 18 case studies of cultural landscape all across India, and it's one from Ethiopia as well. And apart from that, we also had now we have 32 papers which will be presented in the symposium, which vary from the subjects like climate change to the agrarian landscape to sacred landscapes and henceforth. So this was a rigorous process. We already have the full papers for all of them. Very thankful to all the presenters and authors who have been very kind and working very hard to be able to submit it on time. We will review them in due time, and this publication shall soon be out as ECOMOS India publication, which is done in collaboration kindly with FOAP AKTU. So this has been an immense collaboration already with what we present in front of you. And we look forward to more of these opportunities to be able to do that in future and to work on the same subject. Interestingly, the inclination of the faculty on conservation of cultural heritage has been a huge support. They have been very active already in not only in the city, the state, but also in the other parts of the country. And that has been a pivotal point for us to be able to collaborate. I thank everyone for that. And lastly, but not least, it's my honor to be here as an alumni of this institute, because all of you are my teachers. And it's only because of this amazing academic environment that it pushed me, and it pushed me much harder to be able to be inquisitive enough to go to such platforms, try to bring them here and start a collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishan. So, I would like to request Dr. Naveen Piplani, President of ECOMOS India, to address the gathering. But before that, I would like to put a short introduction to him. Dr. Naveen Piplani is former Emlyn Fielding Fellow and Director of Studies, Center for Conservation Studies, the University of New York, UK. He runs an architectural conservation practice based out of New Delhi, India, and has worked as a core member of the multidisciplinary team for the conservation of Taj Mahal. He was the first National Scientific Counselor of ECOMOS India from 2014 to 17, and is a Vice President of ECOMOS International Training Committee. He has served as an expert from India at the ECOMOS World Heritage Panel 2017 and 18. Currently, he is engaged as a consultant at Intact Heritage Academy for training, research, and capacity building in the heritage sector. I would like to invite Dr. Naveen on mic, please.
Good morning, everyone, and namaskar. ये कर लेते हैं पहले थोड़ा सा. Good morning, and we are so happy to be here doing this experiment in the hybrid mode. So, thank you very much to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the university for allowing us this extraordinary experiment, and Vandana ji, letting us go ahead with it. Now I know where this passion in Nishant is coming with all the odds, that he belongs to this institute. So of course, institution की इज्जत शान, मतलब की शान का सवाल है, तो वो तो ठीक से होना ही होगा. So let's see. At the outset, I must with the folded hands say, गलतियां हो सकती हैं. इंटरनेट कनेक्शन इधर उधर हमारे जाएंगे, हमारी बहुत skilled team उधर बैठी हुई है संभालने के लिए, लेकिन फिर भी if there are any shortcomings on behalf of ECOMOS India, and I'm sure on behalf of FOAP, please excuse us. This is the first time we are doing it in this mode, and we would expect the collaboration and help and support and assistance and the blessings. बिना आशीर्वाद के और अच्छी एनर्जीज के तो पत्थर समंदर में तैर नहीं सकता, राम जी के लिए. So we want all your blessings to be with us so that our stones float in the ocean tonight, today and tomorrow. Right. So let's see. Nishant has given you a very good background to how this whole thing came about, and I'm trying to move. Arrows. And as he already pointed out, that this has been a great collaborative event. Cultural landscapes is a very important theme for not only e-commerce India, I think the entire India. And you see all the things that are going around us, you will yourself realize how important and critical this has been. And from a very small idea in the executive committee meeting of e-commerce India, it has grown into 6 sub-themes, 32 papers, received many more. And again, I do apologize for the papers that we could not select. It is very difficult task and very challenging for the selection committee to really pick what goes through. That doesn't mean the others are not good enough. It's just that only one person, in the race goes ahead. But that doesn't mean all the other people were insignificant. 18 case studies in the prequel event and over 200 participants. You may be wondering there are only 40 here, but I'm also including the participants that were in the prequel event, which was on the online mode, all the others who have registered, and many more who will be watching us online today. We have a global keynote from the UNESCO World Heritage Center, and really I'm very happy that this keynote is going to come not from a foreigner, from our own, grown and so professional Dr. Jyoti Hosagrahar, who has been an e-commerce India member and is a proud Indian. So this global keynote will come from her. Conversation with Padma Bhushan and Pritzker Prize winner awardee, our Guruji, Dr. E. Vidoshi, we all know him, needs no introduction. We've also set up this dialogue with the national and international perspectives, you will see it unfold, and a roundtable of session chairs. So it's not only people who are coming and presenting papers, but the chairs and repertoires who are going to be listening to those papers, they also then need to churn and see if it works. So it's not that come, have fun and go. Come, have fun and have more work and then go. All this has been managed by over 20 chairs, repertoires, moderators and facilitators, in which I am including people who have been designing posters, all the visuals, all the graphics, programs, and a lot of other things that, in the end, go on to the social media and disappear. But we need to acknowledge all our emerging young professionals who have stood by us, the team of FOAP who have stood by us in various roles and avatars. Our eminent scientific committee, many of the members are here with us, organizing committee members are here, of both e-commerce India and FOAP. This has been a joint collaborative project from the very beginning. So at every stage, it has been transparent and fair, and people have been involved from both the institutions. And a very highly skilled team of technicians, which is sitting on my right. Maybe the camera can show them. Looks like a whole jing bang of equipment. And they have been working until late last night and early morning today in close coordination with FOAP and e-commerce India Secretariat. So I'm just trying to put forth this fully packed 2 days of program in front of you has had an army of people working behind the scenes, some of whom may appear today in front of us. Just to very quickly go through the highlights of this program, so that you, if want to go away for tea or coffee, people who are joining us online, you may want to bring your tea or coffee and then have it in front of the Zoom and not disappear. Dr. Jyoti Hosagrahar will be talking to us this afternoon, India time, very early, her time in Paris. Conversation with Guruji at 11 o'clock. So I request that थोड़ा सा चाय हम जल्दी कर लेंगे ताकि हम उनको वेट ना करवाएं और उनके साथ कॉन्वर्सेशन करें इस रूम में. Our International Scientific Committee Secretary General and our own respected Rana Ji, coordinator NSC. They will have a discussion moderated by Murthy sir. That is happening tomorrow evening. So we want you to be, in front of your screens as much as possible from this morning until tomorrow evening. These are very nice pictures of some of the cultural landscapes in India, which became part of the publicity for the case study program, and we then evolved into a book of abstracts, which is available online if you wish to print, and it kind of puts together all the abstracts that have been selected for the program. We are hoping that the publication will also follow soon. Now, just to quickly warm us up as to what is it this cultural landscape thing all about. I'm not going to read it, it's in front of you, but this whole idea of cultural landscape, as we see and know, was adopted by the UNESCO as a legal instrument for protection under the World Heritage Convention. What does it really mean in their language, in their terminology? Again, I'm not going to read through. It is in front of you, and it is also available on the UNESCO website. It defines broadly, very broadly, there can be finer prints there, combined work of man and nature. इंसान का और हमारी प्रकृति के साथ मिलके जो हम चीजें बनाते हैं उनका. Three subcategories. They are clearly defined landscapes, which are sometimes even manicured, the gardens and the parklands. The organically evolved landscapes, which are in the form of fossils, relics, etc. And continuing landscapes, हमारी खूबसूरत वादियाँ जो, they have evolved and people have lived in those spaces naturally. And then there are associative cultural landscapes, which have got religious, sacred, artistic associations, which work in tandem with the material cultural evidence also. So these are again very broad categories. And then you can read and go on the website because it's all happening online. You can even look at the website as I speak to you. Until last night, when I was referring to the website, there were 119 properties on the World Heritage List that have been included as cultural landscapes. And this is a dynamic list, so next year it may change. And there was one cultural landscape which was even delisted in Germany. So the list keeps changing. But nonetheless, to give you an idea of, in such a big world, how little is considered Patrimoine Mondial, which is heritage for humanity or society by large. Just to again, for your eyes, warm your eyes this morning, this is in Afghanistan, the Bamiyan cultural landscape, and these are inscribed images that I have taken from UNESCO. And then this is in Iran, the Bam. Much of it is also kind of damaged, but again taken just to show you how the place just looks as if it has grown out of the land, and nothing has been designed or imposed upon land from outside. So combined work of man and nature. This is in Italy, wine landscape, cultural landscape, wine production. In Piedmont, and which got inscribed a couple of years back. This basically gives some idea of what is happening globally. Now, the thing is, why this symposium? If all this is defined and if all this is available and if all this can be read without me harping upon it, so why this symposium? Why are we wasting our time? Let's say, as an argument. This symposium is important because we are trying to do a systematic scientific exploration in an Indian context. हम ये देखना चाहते हैं क्योंकि इंडिया से एक ही साइट अभी तक वर्ल्ड हेरिटेज लिस्ट पे गई है. That doesn't mean that we are back ahead in the race. पहले we are not even in the race. We've got so much anyway. But we are here to kind of look at what people are thinking in terms of systematic exploration and not ad hoc thoughts on blogs and websites here and there, which is what this symposium will do over the next 2 days. It's also an attempt to contribute or challenge. There may be some ideas that we do not agree with in this whole discussion on cultural landscapes in the World Heritage System. And then there will be a presentation on unexplored or less explored sub-themes and themes with arguments and case studies. Because without arguments, it doesn't have much of how do you say substance to the discussion. If I say something and you agree, and if you say something I agree, and then we have tea and lunch and go away, I don't think that's the intention here. There will be, and there is, proactive engagement and dialogue with the international community. As I showed you that the different parts of the symposium already are inviting people from the outside world. It's not that we are talking amongst ourselves, talking to the government. We are inviting people from outside world to have a discussion with us. And eventually, finally, we may have a curated collection of multiple voices and perspectives from India on the theme, culminating into a publication. Now, this is aspiration, and if we get the resources, we should be able to do it. This is why this symposium, that we discuss, we present, we argue, we disagree, and then put it all together in a publication to be available for the wider community and international and future generations. But why now? We could have done it earlier. So many years have passed, or we could have done it later, after so many years. Because we felt that urbanization and development are not stopping. They are going ahead at a pace faster than we as a scientific community trying to research and deal with it. So urbanization to dhadadhad chalta ja raha hai. We have to contribute our own thinking in that. Climate change has almost now become an existential crisis. It is no longer a phenomenon. It is no longer something theoretical that you read and feel threatened about. It is taking away lives. So cultural landscapes are equally vulnerable. Another interesting thing is that culture is being actively discussed at policy making in the international systems like the UN and COP26, which happened recently. So until very recent, culture was not part of these big international organizations, and they were looking at environment, economics, physics, science, and the rest of it. And even now, scientists are the ones who are basically dealing with or addressing issues like climate change. But culture is making its way into, and it's a good time to get our foot also. When I say our foot, I say the Indian perspective, Indian voice into that. And importantly, our own vulnerable communities are facing risk. So we may be, as scholars discussing this in our closed rooms and behind the laptops, but it is communities on ground which are facing the risk on a day-to-day basis of these threats. They are facing risk on their lives, on their livelihoods, and even getting to a stage of possible extinction. So therefore, this symposium is most relevant now and today, and like right away, because of all these reasons. And we thought that we also need to add our voice to local efforts and global concerns. The Sustainable Development Goals will again come up for discussion in 2030, and we are only 9 years away. A lot of that is also gone in pandemic. There are policies being made to deal with climate change, climate action policies, and there are economic opportunities. We know in COP that there are trillions of dollars being made available to developing countries eventually. And so again, we have to put our voice in there from this perspective that therefore our writing, our publications, our papers, our symposiums, our conferences will get some pathway into that discussion. So what are we even saying then? We are saying that all this what I have shown and is available on the website, it is there, we are not contesting it. But we are saying that can we add a very important mythological and spiritual dimension to the understanding, interpretation and management of cultural landscapes. These two verticals need to be embedded more. They must be there somewhere, finding line, but we need to embed the mythological and the spiritual aspects more into cultural landscapes. The concepts of authenticity and integrity need to be understood in relation to the cultural landscapes within which they exist, and not as a standardized approach to the test of authenticity and integrity and the rest of it. Because in our Indian context, like cultural landscapes, the notions of authenticity and integrity also evolve. There is an idea about evolving authenticity and evolving integrity, which needs to be further looked at. The ancient Indian philosophy of microcosm and macrocosm, जिसको हम कहते हैं कि अंदरूनी संसार and बाहर का संसार, microcosm and macrocosm, and the coexistence of the two in the life phenomenon. So these landscapes are not pieces of artifacts that need to be identified, that make us that put into the UNESCO and then they will World Heritage, and then say, wow, now we have a World Heritage site. They are part of our living system on everyday basis as a life phenomenon, because we rely so much on them for a lot of mythological, spiritual, archaeological, historical, day-to-day livelihoods, etc., etc. So this idea of macrocosm and microcosm also needs to be brought into the global debate. And finally, an exploration of the combined works of man and nature in relation to the meanings they hold for local communities. Because unless they are meaningful to the local communities, they will remain like picture postcards, which look nice on websites and reports, but in reality, nobody is taking care of them and they are devastated in the name of development. So local communities need to value them, revere them, and the larger humanity needs to value them and revere them. So these are the three important issues I wanted to highlight. Why now? What are we saying? And why not in a collective manner as a part of a symposium? Now I'll show you again to warm you down and get to the later half of this session. This is how landscapes in India look like. This is Majuli. A lot of people have worked on it already and we need to project it further. This is again not unknown to any of us, Varanasi, and the Ghats and the people and nature and the rest of it. And these are fantastic examples that are not yet on the World Heritage list. I am not proposing that they will get any further value if they go on the World Heritage list, because they are valuable anyway. And I strongly believe that the World Heritage list may get some more value by adding these onto the list. So they will get it will add another dimension to the list if it gets on there. And I leave you with this slide of Bhimbetka, which is a cultural landscape recently inscribed on the World Heritage List. And thanks very much for this to the Archaeological Survey of India and all the other people who worked on the team. These are time-taking marathon exercises and they need to be acknowledged. So with these words, I hope you really enjoy the symposium. And if there are any disagreements, put it on the chat. And we may be able to fight a little bit virtually. It's interesting, we can have those arguments virtually. We are all here in person, our executive committee of OAPT. We are there. There is a team who's looking at the technical aspects. So if there are any glitches, please do voice it out. Don't feel that it is embarrassing. It will appear on some screen. Blah blah. We'll try to sort it out. Thank you so much, and I myself look forward to the next 2 days in Lucknow. Besides the hospitality, the intellectual discourse that we will have as part of the symposium. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen for setting forth the stage on the symposium. We all are definitely looking for a great discourse on the subject of cultural heritage. I would like to now call on stage Dr. Vandana Sehgal, Dean, Faculty of Architecture and Planning, AKTU. Before that, I would like to introduce a few words about Dr. Vandana Sehgal. Dr. Vandana Sehgal is an architect, artist, and an academic. And during her long career, she has worked with several higher education institutes, both as an academic and administrative, both on academic and administrative duties. She is also an accomplished artist and has participated in solo and group shows across India. And simultaneously bearing the responsibility of the Dean of the Institute, she has also been engaged with the architectural consultancy, which includes interesting projects of heritage conservation. A lot to say, about her, but I will just take my words here and not taking much of your time. I invite Dr. Vandana Saigal on stage, please.
Vice Chancellor, AKTU, Professor Vadeed Kansal, President ICOMOS, Naveen Piplaniji, executive members of the ICOMOS, deans and directors, Dr. Jagveer Singh, Indrani, who have come from other institutes, participants of this ICOMOS Scientific Symposium who are present here and who are connected online. It is a matter of great pride for Faculty of Architecture and Planning AKTU to be hosting this ICOMOS Scientific Symposium 2021. Faculty of Architecture and Planning AKTU is an institutional member of the ICOMOS India for the past 3 years and has been very active since then. 2 years back in Banaras, we had showcased our master studio documentation of Kakori, which is a religious settlement near Lucknow. It was very well appreciated, and we were also part of the discussions in Banaras itself. This year, it led to hosting of the symposium, which is a great start to hopefully a long-term partnership. The purview of this scientific symposium, cultural landscapes, transformations, and emerging ideas, is very apt in today's scenario. As Naveen just enlightened us about all these beautiful cultural scenarios all over the world, which are there needless, but if we as a human race take a little cognizance, be little sensitive, we can maybe save them for our future generations. This ever increasing population and urbanization are tearing into this cultural fabric of our society, which it is, whether it is the built heritage, the rituals and practices, the natural ecosystems, the simple act of people living in a cultural setting. There is definitely a need to dwell on them, and because we can actually transform them and preserve the lifestyles they are for years that has been going on. The Faculty of Architecture and Planning not only makes context a very, very important part of our curriculum, but also is involved in projects of heritage value. Lucknow has been a very rich, has had a very rich built heritage, which is crumbling down. We see, every day we see one of the old buildings coming down, and your heart bleeds at seeing it, and then something glass and concrete will come in its place, and it changes the whole atmosphere, the whole kind of scenario which is there. I myself have seen this change for the past 25 years, and many streets which were very quaint and very it somehow spoke of this old world Lucknow are no longer there. So you somehow feel that as an architect, as a planner, as a thinker, as a citizen of the world, you have failed somewhere. So I think this platform at least gives us some kind of some kind of way to express and maybe dwell on what can be done for preserving all these habitats. Lucknow has many layers in this city. It is the Nawabi layer, the Britishers came and put their layer, then the post-independent layer, and the contemporary architectural layer which we see. And this, of course, is in tandem with the culture that it espouses with it. So, as a college, we have been associated with the preserving few of the, few of the existing built heritage, which is again, as I said, almost crumbling down. So one of them is the Chatar Manzil complex. I wonder if you've heard of it. It's just opposite the bank. We are on this side of the bank and it's other side of the Gomti. And so we were entrusted with the, kind of preserving it. And you will be surprised that the first, so the estimate was already made by RNN, which is the Rajkir Nirman Nigam, and they told us that you have to, assist us or, supervise this work. And it was, the whole estimate was just taking out the debris from there, okay? So we said, okay, fine, let's start with it. But when we went to the site, you'll be surprised that it was in a state we could not make out, because it was given to this building was given to CDRI long back, the Central Drug Research Institute. And because of very functional kind of attitude, they wanted more area to work in. So they kind of made floors of concrete in between, and they, it was totally messed up. Since water was coming, so they made a huge, they filled up the basements, and so it was not in a state which is recognizable at all from what we saw in the archive pictures. And it was a very, very, kind of a challenging task to think that where do we start from, because it is not that what we wanted to do, it is what nobody understood what is to be done. Even the government didn't understand what is to be done. There was no sensitivity. They were just, and the next estimate which they had actually submitted without even consulting us was only changing doors and windows, So, you can imagine the kind of awareness that is there towards our built heritage, leave alone the cultural heritage, that is a much more intangible kind of a attitude. So, but when we started working on it, we kind of bulldozed our way through. We said, no, nothing doing. We have to first strengthen its foundation and then think of anything like doors and windows. And when we started doing it, we realized that there was another floor below it, and when we unearthed it, there was, of course, then they got berserk that why is all our budget going in just unearthing mud, from inside. We are not renovating this building. I said, that will come later, but it's very, very difficult. Yes, of course, And then but finally, when, we actually could take out one floor from below, and we realized that it was a docking yard on the Gomti for the boats. The boats used to come just next under the Chatar Manzil for the Nawabs, and they used to go up from there. And there was a proper docking system. And while doing this, we even unearthed the boat, So it was a very beautiful kind of a journey that we went through. And for some reason, again, it is stalled. So these are the problems one faces when one is dealing with longer conservation projects. And because the political will is also very, very important. But nonetheless, if it restarts, I think we will try and, make the best of it. We have shown a lot of presentations in all the forums about it, and how we are trying to restore it, because Chatar Manzil was not just one building. It was basically a group of palaces, and just opposite that was the throne palace, which is called the Lal Baradari, which we also renovated. And it was, when we took over, it was just, kind of boxed internally with the ply, So we could only see rectangular rooms one entered as, art gallery. But when we took over, we kind of took away everything that was inside, and there came out these beautiful arcuated spatial kind of drama that unfolded in front of us, which is still there. I would be happy if you all can go and visit it. And it is not completed yet, but at least it is there in its original form, you know. So that is very beautiful. But next to that were Gulistane-Iram, another palace, and Darshan Vilas, which has also been kind of renovated a little. It is in the conservation process. So some of them were done under the smart city mission, you know. So there are some efforts going on, but maybe not holistically. So what cultural landscapes, I think, does is basically gives a holistic kind of a look at the whole ecosystem, the whole scenario, and that is why I think this conference is very, very important for all of us. So, as an academician and as a head of the architecture faculty in AKTU, I would also take this forum to invite any researcher who would be interested in topics which are related to cultural landscapes and any kind of discussions that they want to do, you know, because we run a very, very successful PhD program here itself, and it will be, you know, really, really welcoming. Apart from this, we are also into, when we talk holistically, as we saw that there are papers on climate change also, which will be discussed in this forum. We at the faculty are in collaboration with the Belgian government, you know, and we are working on climate change. And we have taken up the heat island mapping of Lucknow city with them, and our students of masters will be assisting them to do that. And we have also applied jointly, you know, for a UN funding for Ayodhya, the mapping of Ayodhya and climate crisis effect on that. So we also kind of, it is kind of a holistic look at cultural landscapes with the climate coming in, because climate has actually, as you know, mentioned by Naveen ji, that it is, you cannot separate them basically, you know. So there is a lot of things that are happening because of that also, and because of pollution also. So one has to look at everything very, very holistically. Once again, thank you so much for being in this institute, for coming to this institute. And I will once again thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for being here and supporting us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for such wise words. And obviously, tomorrow, those who are present in Lucknow will have a chance to see the heritages of Lucknow during Heritage Walk in the morning. So I feel a bit unfortunate about the people who are joining us virtually. Now I'd like to call upon the stage Professor Vineet Kansal, Vice Chancellor, sir, to share a few words with us. Thank you, sir. Please.
Very much. I'm personally feel very happy with the program, this symposium. Why? Because this is my first visit to this institute, and though I've been meeting a couple of faculty members, but a part of this of architecture and planning. But this is my first time, you know, to be here. I see this theme of this symposium is very, very pertinent, and preservation of monuments and sites, learning and revamping, exploring is very, very important, very, very important, and especially in Indian context, when we have not written our history also properly. Before, you know, at the outset, I would like to acknowledge this faculty is doing fabulously good. The leadership of Professor Sehgal, a leader and personally many times in my working to the university in different capacity, whether it's dean academics or other capacities. And she has been, you know, extraordinarily pushing up the things in terms of taking the academic standard of this institution on a higher and higher level, which is very, very appreciable. I see as a leader, not only as a good leader, as a wonderful colleague, friend, and sister, who has been doing very, very good to the institution, to the state, and to the nation. This conference, this symposium, which is first of its kind, you are hosting as a faculty. There are a lot of papers which have come up. I understand there are papers which have come, 18 case studies which are being presented. I'm sure it would be wonderful learning for the people who would be part of this and would be actually learning it virtually or physically in person here. I could see there are many people, many participants, many key note speakers are from across the globe here, who are the part, irrespective of different time zones, they are here. So I, on behalf of the university, also acknowledge and appreciate their contribution to this wonderful and noble cause. As Naveenji were illustrating and saying this symposium, why and what are the context and how it is to be taken up, it was quite learning, and I also endorsed, the things has to be taken up, in a systematic systematic innovation rather than a jugaad. We as an Indian have been known for jugaads, and there is nothing wrong in doing jugaad. But once jugaad becomes a systemic innovations, that is what we are looking forward, and I think that is an approach and first step to move on when we do such kind of symposium, workshop, conferences, and document those things. I'm sure whatsoever the deliberations are being done in 2 days, today and tomorrow, we documented, and the impact and analysis would be done in order to see, how this would be a first step towards this journey. The MOUs and collaborative learning are the integral part of our learning, and this cannot happen in isolation. So if somebody, thinks we are, we are at the top of the academic affair, it is not correct actually. It is always a collaborative. It is always a, learning from each other. Online learning and online teaching has shown us many things. We have been doing from last almost 2 years, 1.5 years. We have been talking about online learning, but is this online learning is on the line? That is a good question mark which we need to look at. It has also told us, the importance of attendance, whether it is a academic classrooms or workshops or symposiums. People are there virtually, but are they mentally? That is again a question mark. So attendance has no more weightage. It is a kind of speaker or a teacher which has a worth, and which attracts and encourages the audience to be the part of the deliberation, and it's a part of the dialogue rather than a monologue. That is also very, very important, that everybody, all of us have witnessed. And especially to the course of architecture or all professional courses, practical orientation is very, very important. Doing all those things in classrooms and theoretically has very, very less meaning. That is good to understand the concepts. But once we go to the field and do all those from our hands, learn from each other, it's very, very important. And I think, again, the conferences and the forums like this are very, very important. Once we learn from each other. And many things, I fully in agreement, cannot be learned, cannot be learned in virtual mode. It is once you meet in a formal setting, and most importantly in informal settings, over a tea sessions, over a lunch session, over the dinner sessions, once you interact. I came to know today morning it has been a heritage walk. So it's good, this is the time when you interact, you exchange your thoughts, and these thoughts and ideas do flourish in the time to come, whether in 2 days or in 2 decades. But it is germination is the kind of ideas exchange session which happens. It's very, very important. So I look forward. This is the beginning, and it's a long way to go. And I extend from my side all best wishes. We as a university, APJ Abdul Kalam University, always look forward. All faculty, flourish, to contribute to the society from where we come up, whether as a student or as a teacher, as a researcher, and take back to the next stage to the next level, not only in the national level and international. So thank you very much for inviting me, and I look forward this to happen very, very good, and the people to learn from it and contribute it meaningfully. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your gracious presence. We will definitely excel under your supervision and your guidance. Now it's time for the tea break, and we will meet again at 11. So I request everyone to. So as a token of respect, I request Professor Vanna Singh to please present a memento to Honorable VC sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. So we will meet at 11 again. I request all the online participants to remain connected, and all the offline participants to please be here before, 10 minutes before 11, so that we are all set. Professor Doshi will be present in the next session, and I hope everyone is really keen to listen to him. So please be on time. Thank you. Thank you, sir.